Hi everyone, in this video you can follow along with me as we do a Power BI challenge from Workout Wednesday. If you don't know about Workout Wednesday, make sure you check out the video linked in the description before you start this one. Otherwise, let's get started. Alright, so this challenge is from week 2 of 2021 and it builds on and uses a data set that we used in the last video. So make sure to check that out if you haven't. I'll have it linked in the description. So we're back with our college football financial data and I've been asked to make a simple KPI report like the one here, showing the revenues, expenses, and profits of college football conferences. So let's go through the requirements. They want us to use Power Query to make a new column called Total Profits, in which we subtract the total expenses from the total revenue and then add back in excess transfers. Then they want us to create a report that includes total revenue, total expenses, and total profits. They want us to include a trend line for each category and a breakdown of each KPI by conference. And lastly, they want us to include in the title that the report is a summary view, and they remind us that the design is up to us, so we can make it look however you like. You can follow along with me, or you can make your own design, but it's basically going to look similar to the report you see up here. Some KPIs, some lines, and the bar charts with the expenses, revenues, and profits for each conference. Anyway, so let's hop on to Power BI and let's get started. Just as a reminder from the last video, we have our 3 tables here: conference, finances, and school dimension. And for the first step, they asked us to create that new column called Total Profits. And so we're going to click Transform Data, and we're going to go to the Finances Fact Table. All right, so they told us they want a new field called Total Profits, and it's going to be calculated by subtracting the total expenses that we see here from total revenues, which let's look for total revenues. Where is it? All right, here's total revenues here. And then they want us to add in excess transfers. So let's look for that field. Here they are, excess transfers back. All right, so to do that, we're going to add a column, and we're going to say custom column, and I'm going to call this total profits. And they said they want us to subtract total expenses from total revenues. So let's bring in total revenues by double clicking. I'm going to add a minus sign. It's going to be total revenues minus total expenses. And you can also just add in a bracket here and say total expenses. I'm going to put that in parentheses. And then I'm going to add back excess transfers back. All right, I'm going to hit OK. And there's our new profits column. And I'm going to make sure this is a decimal number. And there we go. That's requirement 1 completed. The next one is to create a KPI dashboard that includes the 3 high-level measures: total revenues, total expenses, and total profits. So to do that, I'm going to hit close and apply so that total profits column is saved into the tables. So if we go here to the finances fact table, I'm just going to type in total. But here's total expenses, total profits, and total revenues. There's our 3 columns that we're using today. So they want us to do a KPI dashboard, and I'm going to make it look very similar to this. So we'll start with our 3 KPI boxes. To do that, I'm going to start with the card visual. So I just click that one right there. And I'm going to start with total revenue. So I'm just going to drag that into here. And here we go. We have 78 billion in revenues. I'm going to Control C and Control V to copy that. Next one is the expenses. So I'm going to grab the expenses and I'm going to drag that in here. So now that's the expenses. Copy that, paste, and I'm going to drag in my profits, which we just added. And we get 3.39 billion. So good business that at college football. Next up, they want us to make line charts for each of these. So I'm going to bring in my line chart here. Click that. And the first one is revenues. So I want to bring in revenues to the y-axis and then year to the x-axis. And we'll clean that up later, but right now we're just getting the shell of the dashboard started. All right, so now I'm going to copy this twice. So it's going to be for my expenses. So let me go back to the search here. Total expenses. I'm gonna throw that in here. Oh, right there. Should have been on top. So total expenses and then total profits. I'm going to bring that in here. And there we go. It's starting to take shape. You got a KPI, you got your line chart. And then next up, they want a bar chart. And I like using the clustered bar chart here. And then let's start with the profit since we're already here. My x-axis is going to be the profit. And then my y-axis is going to be the conference So that goes here. I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to bring in expenses, total expenses, into the x-axis. All right, copy that again. And here I'm going to bring in the revenues. All right. So if we look, that is basically what they did here. Obviously, we're just going to clean this up to make it a little bit easier on the eyes. So I'm going to start with this chart. And one thing I like to do is we'll start with changing the conference title here. We're going to go to Format and General. And the title is just a sum of total revenues by conference abbreviation. And that is automatically generated based on the fields that you threw in here. So we're going to click here, title, and we're going to say revenue by conference. Cool. And then I'm going to do my usual transformations I do. So here in the y-axis, we don't need the title because I'm already telling you here it's revenue by conference. So we don't need this. Like one thing we could do is we could just change this to conference instead of conference ABV, but I don't think we need that. I'm going to trust my audience that they know that if they're looking at this report and it says revenue by conference, they know these are conference names. All right, so that's number one. And then I'm going to bold these. Yeah. That looks good. And then what I'm going to do is grid lines. I'm going to remove all the grid lines. There we go. So that looks a lot cleaner. So if you see here, you see the dotted grid lines, and we've got that taken care of here. And then I'm going to add data labels. That way, instead of having to search down here, so like say the SEC here is 15.5. Instead of them having to go here and look and match up 15 billion here, they already know what that is, right? So since these are labeled, I'm also going to get rid of the x-axis here, really the x-axis title. So you need to go to title here, press off, and then remove that here. Otherwise, if you don't remove the title first, the title stays, even if you remove the x-axis. So you have to remove both of those. And that is already looking a lot cleaner. All right, so I've got that going. And here's a trick for you. I shouldn't have copied these yet. I'm going to delete these. I'm going to copy this dashboard, this visual, and I'm just going to replace the fields here. And that way, it's going to keep all my formatting. So I'm going to copy that again, and I'm going to bring in my profit. And I'm going to change the titles here, go to Format, General, Title, and it's not the revenue anymore, it is the expenses. And then here is the profit. All right, so let's make these smaller so we can work on the rest. And here's our line chart. Let's see, what could we do here? We have our line, and the title is Sum of Total Revenues by Year. Let's go here, Title, and we'll just say Revenue by Year. Cool. And then, as always, I'm going to go to the y-axis, take off the title, and I'm going to get rid of the grid lines. And then let's go down here to the x-axis. I don't need the title, but I will have these bolded. And same with the y-axis. Values bolded. I'm going to leave them like this because it is more of a directional thing. It's just so you can see the change within the years. There we go. Look, something like that looks good to me. And then here for my KPI card, I'm just going to change the title. And I'm going to say total revenue. Or actually, let's have it at the bottom. So if you saw that, the title's actually off. So for me to change, and I want the title to be down here instead of up here. But it's going to be up to you. If you want it up there, then all you need to do is type it up here, and whatever you type in there, it's going to go in the title. But for this one, I want it to show down here. And to do that, I'm going to double click here in the field, and I'm going to put total revenue. Hit enter, and that's going to show up there. Cool, I'm going to do the same thing here. Total expenses. And then total profit. All right, and all of these can be made a lot smaller. All right, let's fix up the rest of the line charts. And you know what? I'm going to do the same thing and delete these, and I'm going to copy the formatting here. So this is revenue. Let's start with the title. And it's not revenue, it's expenses by year. And make sure that we are actually changing the field here, total expenses. The same thing here in profits. Let's make sure we are changing that here. Drag and drop. And let's go to the title. It's going to be profit by year. All right, so what else do they want us to do? They want us to add a text box with the name. So I'm going to say NCAA revenues and expenses. And this is going to be bolded. And I'll make this very large. Let's go 32. That looks good. Let's see that. Revenues and expenses. Oh, and they wanted to say summary view. So I'm going to add that. Summary view. Make this longer. And I'll make this smaller. 20. And I'll make this gray. And that's too light. I'll make this. How's that? That looks better. So one way to really stand out when making your dashboards is by making it look professional. So you could stop the video right here. You're done with the challenge. I mean, this is basically what they did here, right? But you never want to just do bare minimum work, right? So we're going to make this look a little bit nicer. So we're going to go to the format page and we're going to change the canvas background. And so to do that, just make sure you don't have anything selected, no visuals, nothing like that. And you're going to click on format your report page. And then you're going to click on canvas background and you're going to change the color. So I don't know what the default might be. It might be white for you, but you're going to click on more colors and you're going to select one. And you can do whatever you want here, but if you want to follow along with me, I'm going to use F6, F6, F6 as my hex color. And if you see that, nothing changed here. And that is because the transparency is set to 100%. And that's just by default. So we're going to change that to 0, right? And so you get this really nice gray that I've used in Tableau before. And now you can see like the borders of everything. And I feel like that's a pretty easy way to make a report look a lot better. It's just adding borders, adding separation to your visuals. So knowing that, we're going to stretch that all the way over here as it is our title. And let me see if I can make this smaller, like that. I think that looks good. Then let's see, I'm going to put this revenue here. Does it need to be that big? I think this looks good. And let's line this up. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so total revenues is here. And one thing that's helpful when aligning your visuals is you can click it and see its properties. You can see its height, its width, its vertical and horizontal position. So if you want to copy that, you can just click that here. And let's make sure it's the same. So we had 100 in height and 280 in width. So let's do that here, 100. And then revenue, and then for the position, it was 19 horizontal and 91 vertical. So let's do that. For the vertical, we're going to set it to 91. And the horizontal, that's going to stay there because if we copy that, it's just going to bring it here. So let's do that. We'll leave it here. It looks like it's in the middle. And then same thing here. Let's align it with the end over here. And we're going to go to General, Properties, Height was 100. And width should be 280. And then Properties, Position, this was 91 on the vertical. Cool. So now that is all aligned. Cool. And let's do here. Let's align the revenue by year as well as the conference for all of these. And I'm just going to keep playing with the widths to make sure everything looks somewhat proportional. So the width is 350, 350. And what if we do 400 for everyone? All right, so 400 there, 400 here. and 400 here. All right, that's looking better. Now let's see the line chart, and this looks good. I mean, it's just a directional kind of thing. And then this is really our big chart, the revenues by conference. We're gonna make this smaller, but we're gonna make it longer. All right, and let's line up this here again, and line it up here. And same with this, we're gonna bring it up to the right and make sure it's lined up here. And let's see, make sure everything is aligned. The height here. And how does that look? Let's see, what would we change here? And that's one thing about these videos, guys. I'm doing them live with you, so it's things are gonna happen. We're gonna make changes. Let's see, is this everything is aligned? Let's make sure here. General properties, position 19 and 201, 201, 201. All right, those are aligned. I think I'm liking what I'm seeing. I think one thing I'll change here in total revenue is a callout value. I'm gonna bold that. Oh, that's actually not that one. Well, actually, let's bold that too. And the category label I'm gonna bold. So let's bold that, and let's bold this. And again, let's bold that, and let's bold this. And I want to make sure here that my data labels are actually bolded as well. So let's do that, 1409, 1409. Cool, now everything's bolded. And let's see, what else could we do here? So the only thing, if I'm looking at the original here, is that they have these as millions. I think we can leave them as billions, but if you want to make it match, all you need to go here to do here is format your visual, and your callout value you can adjust to display units. So they have it in millions. And then they have it without decimal places. So if you go back, that is what they have there. But I'm going to keep mine in billions. A little bit less math, right? And I'm going to keep my decimals. And I think I'm happy with this view. A couple of things that you could do is you could add a indicator if whatever, I think 2020 is the latest year of the data. If that's better than 2019, you can add indicators there in the line charts, here in the KPIs. But this is a pretty basic dashboard. And it took us not too long to make it, right? But I think that's where I'm going to stop. It's looking okay to me. It's meant to be a pretty basic dashboard. I mean, a couple other changes you could do is maybe give revenue a different color from expenses and from profits. But I like what I'm seeing here. I think it's looking pretty good for what they were asking for. It's a basic dashboard. But yeah, that's the end of this challenge. Make sure to check out the Workout Wednesday website for a ton of Power BI and Tableau challenges. Leave a comment if you have any questions, and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future challenges.